Ocarina of Time is a pretty broken game. So broken that the actual speedrun just from the start to the end doesn't even show much of the actual game. In fact, you only get to see Kokiri Forest, Lost Woods and the Deku Tree before you go to Ganon. But what would happen if you were to collect all medallions that are in the game but still allow all glitches? The famous Medallion Run. Our journey starts in Kokiri Village, where we will first collect the sword and make our way to the Lost Woods, where we then use a jump/clip to get out. Who wanted me to visit him again? Deku who? Whatever, onto Kakariko, we need a bottle. So let's collect the cuckoos, as the bottle is one of the most broken items in the game. Now that we have the bottle and some bugs... Wait, there was something about the Deku Tree guy, and the fire dungeon with the dongos, and some cursed whale thing? Ah, never mind, onto the Master Sword. The developers left a little gap between the wall and the actual Door of Time, so we can use this gap to clip through it and get onto the other side by doing a roll to the down left direction, followed by a precise side hop into a jump slash to make it into the door itself and get on to the other side.
We're finally an adult. That child stuff wasn't important anyways. Sheik tells us to go and get the hookshot. For once, it might be smart to listen. So back to Kakariko, grab the pocket egg and the Hylian shield from the grave, and now we do a save warp and visit Ganon's castle. For a second. Because watching the introduction cutscene of Ganon's castle is so stunning for Link that the game makes it night instantly. This speeds up the hatching of the pocket cuckoo. But before we want it to hatch, we'll hop into the river in front of Kakariko. We need to wait for the egg to hatch anyways. By dropping bugs first, then keeping the bottle in Link's hand and hitting B just before hitting the water, Link will try to pull his sword out, fail and keep the bottle in his hand, which gives us the option to overwrite our B button with a bottle. And now the game gets fun, as we're now able to write values into our inventory. And this can affect all sorts of things, from item values themselves to upgrades, songs, and temple completions. So now we put our imaginary bombs onto the C right button that the game equips by default, as we never collected them, and drop the bugs. This brings a bottle into our inventory, and because a bottle with bugs is not nothing, we can now get bomb drops from the bushes. But that's not enough. We also write another bottle into our inventory by putting another bottle onto our C right button. Now finally our cuckoo hatches, and the first thing we'll do is put it onto C right so we can drop and recatch bugs. This gives us the adult's wallet when dropping, and the black colored gold gauntlets when catching them again. But because the cuckoo wants to wake people up, we have to look for Talon, who is somewhere in Kakariko sleeping. After doing so, we can exchange the pocket cuckoo with Kojiro, a blue colored cuckoo. If we drop bugs now and catch them again, we get a medium upgraded bomb bag. And a glitched quiver. But since we don't need the bow anyway, that doesn't really matter.
Now we can finally proceed and get the hookshot, as there are always bombs in Denpei's grave. This way we can grab a few before starting a race with the old man. Now we can grab some bombs from either bushes or pots. 25 will do for now. From here we will continue the quest for the big Goron sword. First we hand in Kojiro to get the odd mushroom, give that one to the potion shopkeeper and get the odd potion. Back to the woods where we can change this for the saw, which we then put on to C right. Drop bugs, catch bugs, and now we can do a bunch of songs that will come in handy. Catching bugs with the saw on the C right button gives us Serenade, Nocturne, Prelude, and Zelda's Lullaby. For the last step of the quest, we need to go to the broken Gerudo Bridge and get over the gap, without Epona. For this we will set up a trick called Distance Flip, which, with the right positioning and angle, will barely bring us on the other side. We do this by rolling into a bomb on a certain frame, shielding the explosion up to a specific frame, and then doing a backflip with the shield up. Now that we have the broken knife, we can drop and catch bugs one more time. This will remove our light medallion, but give us all the other medallions except for the fire medallion. But wait, how do we get the light medallion again? First, let's go to Kakariko with our fresh new song, Nocturne of Shadow. Grab some Deku nuts, a fish, and go all the way up to Goron City and get Bolero of Fire in Death Mountain Crater. After we got the song, we can go to the Great Ferry where we can now play Zelda's Lullaby and get the magic meter. If we now drop the fish on B with a fish on C right, it will write us 25 Deku nuts into our inventory. We have to get rid of a few though. After we have done this, we have to make sure that the fish is on our first bottle slot. We can now play the ocarina and warp ourselves to the Temple of Time. There, Sheik will be waiting for us to tell us her story and give us light arrows. Because this will set us back to Child Link for the cutscene, the game gets a few things confused, such as our B button. It usually needs to reassign the sword to it, but due to weird memory explanation, we'll just say that the game doesn't check for the sword itself, uses the Deku Nuts as a reference, and puts Faeror's Wind onto our B. Now we have Faeror's Wind on B, the light arrows, but we're still lacking 2 medallions.
So our journey continues with the Lon Lon Ranch, where we will enter and leave again to set Faeror's Wind. We can now start the horse race, climb onto the horse and step off it again. However, our C buttons will stay disabled. Using this, we can now warp out in this mode and use our B button everywhere. So we can set a warp point in the twins' house in Kokiri Forest. However, we do have to get out of that mode, so dying is the quickest way here. After we died, the game resets the way our buttons work and we can still use Faeror's Wind normally, as the usual death would revert our B button to a stick. So let's now play Bolero and beat the Fire Temple. After we defeated Volvagia, we can use Faeror's Wind on B to set up a wrong warp. A warp that tries to play a cutscene after we warped away, which leads to Link ending up in new places with a different cutscene. Or no cutscene. It depends on a lot of factors we don't want to explain, as that also gets really confusing. But where could this get us? Warping to the twins' house with a cutscene from the warp of the Fire Temple? Oh, Ganondorf found the Temple of Time again? Poor guy's probably suffering from amnesia or so. Now we get all the medallions finally. Time to finish the game. To do so, we have to set up a warp in the Temple of Time after re-entering it, and then head to Dodongo's cavern, where we then will defeat King Dodongo with a hammer. After King Dodongo died, we can set up another wrong warp with a blue warp that comes from the King of the Lizards himself. The last cutscene of the credits. Doing so finally brings us to where we wanted to be after all. We hope you enjoyed that little journey of Ganon's desperate attempt to have any impact on the game. If you want to see more glitch or beta stuff, make sure to subscribe. Or click the video to learn something about the scrapped or non-implemented beta stuff in Minecraft.